Okay guys, so today I have some Malice content for you. This video I think will be both quite interesting and possibly a little bit controversial. I would like to accomplish two things in this video. First of all, I would like to explain the game plan of Malice. What are the principles of this deck? And secondly, I would like to explain why I think most Yugitubers do such a horrible job of explaining Yu-Gi-Oh to almost anyone. And these two things are very heavily related. Imagine that you're me this morning trying to learn Malice, and you YouTube something like Malice Explained or Malice Combos Explained. You come across a Lucas Sacco video, and he shows you 5 convoluted combos that don't really explain why things are sequenced in a certain way or why some things are safe but others aren't. And this isn't picking on one person in particular. This is almost every single Yugi-tuber. And you'll see that, okay, maybe this guy is good. He's a new guy. He has a negate. That's good, right? We're making our red ransom and our white binder, and that's good to put them in the grave because we can use them in our opponent's turn. But then we're summoning them back to our field under this guy, but I guess it's still good because he told us it was good. And he said this thing was safe into nib, but not into impulse or whatever, so I guess I'll just do that. But you didn't learn anything, and what happens when you go to play against your opponent? You've memorized perfectly all of those combos, and your opponent happens to not be asleep. Do you A, adjust your game plan, or B, sneak under the table, take him to the ground, get your hooks in after you've taken the back, and put in a rare naked choke? After that, when your opponent is successfully asleep, yes, you can use your memorized combo and immediately FTK. Assuming you're not going to do that, you should probably understand the principles or the game plan of the deck so you know what to do when your opponent interacts with you or you don't draw the thing you saw in the Twitter combo. Okay, let us begin with a very brief card overview of just White Binder and basically nothing else, because I think this card's 3 effects represent the 3 different points of the game plan for Malice. Each effect is basically 1/3 of the game plan. Then I will show you some not even combos, just what happens if you draw some cards and you're just trying to remember what the game plan is. How would you even sequence these things? Like what does that lead to if you don't know the combo, but you just know the game plan of the deck? Okay, let's begin. This card has 3 effects. First of all, if this card is special summoned, you can target up to 3 cards in any graveyards, banish them. Secondly, during your main phase, you can set 1 Malice Trap from your deck or graveyard. Thirdly, if this card is banished, you can pay 900 life points, special summon it, then you can draw 1 card. So why are these 3 points all important parts of the Malice game plan? First of all, if this card is special summoned, you can target up to 3 cards in any graveyards, banish them. This is important because every single Malice monster, when banished, will special summon itself. Besides the March Hare, that just adds 1 to hand instead, but it can also special summon itself. So basically, you know, all of these cards can special summon themselves when they're banished. So this cycles your entire economy. Once you have established monsters in your field or grave, you then get to cycle them every single turn with White Binder. So this is how your economy runs, off of this effect, or really any effect that can banish cards from your graveyard. So this card does that. Banishing from grave, checked off from our resource economy list. Secondly, during your main phase, you can set a Malice Trap from your deck or graveyard. Why is this part of the game plan? The Malice Traps represent its layers. You have MTP07, which is the one that can non-targeting banish a card on a field while also searching for a Malice monster. You have GWC, which is a reborn from banishment or grave. And then you have TB11, which is a special from deck, but then it's negated and you can't attack with it. All of these cards can also be used the turn they are set by banishing a Malice monster you control. Now, why do layers matter? Layers are important because they diversify your zones of interaction. Imagine that you have put every single resource into just strong monsters in the monster zone and your opponent goes Dark Ruler. Every single thing you've ever hoped to accomplish in your life now counts for nothing and you should be ashamed of yourself because you did not diversify. But instead, imagine you have some strong monsters in the monster zone, but you also have a GWC set in your back row and your White Binder's in grave. And you can special summon it out of turn, and that activates the trigger effect to banish all your stuff in the graveyard. So for example, you banish your White Rabbit, which you were laddering through on your own turn. Then this trigger effect, when it's normal or special summon to set a Malice Trap from your deck, activates, and you can get access to MTB07 for a non-targeting banish. That's crazy. That doesn't lose the Dark Ruler. So if you, the more zones of interaction you have, you know, preferably not just Monster Zone and Spell and Trap Zone, but also maybe you have stuff in your hand. Maybe you also have stuff in your graveyard that you want to banish. Maybe it doesn't work with the White Binder. Maybe they Ghost Belled the GWC, but you also had a March Hare that you drew or you searched. And now after they belled your GWC, you March Hare, banish the White Binder, and you still get to use the effects anyhow, you know? This is all part of the same game plan. Now the third effect, if this card is banished, you can pay 900 life points, special summon it, then you can draw 1 card. This is another core part of the goal of this deck, which is crush your opponent's economy. Okay? Draw one card. Imagine you're playing this deck. You're not even playing Allure of Darkness. You can do it, but you're not even playing that, okay? Chessy Cat draws 2. You've drawn 2 cards. On your turn, you've used White Binder's effect to come back from banishment to draw 1 card. In your opponent's turn, you're using White Binder effect, where when it's banished, it comes back and draws 1 card. You've drawn 4 times without including Allure. What happens if you draw an Allure? You Allure, you draw another 2 cards, you've now drawn 6 times, and it's just gotten to your opponent's turn. So all of these things, adding these layers, drawing into hand traps, all these things make up the game plan. So White Binder is the heart of hearts, the true Maliss Queen White Binder. So with that in mind, let me show you, if you just draw a couple of cards, not even good cards, and you remember the game plan, what are you supposed to do? Okay, so here we've drawn a blank, we have drawn Backup Ad Ignister, and we've drawn Malice P. March here. Now, because we only watched Lukasaka, if we only watched Lukasaka, sorry, I shouldn't be talking about this guy, anyone, okay? We watched anybody's Twitter combos, and we've seen that you always start with Dormouse or Malice in Underground or Gold Sark. We're now drooling all over our shirt, and our opponents are genuinely concerned. But instead, if we just remember the game plan, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter we didn't draw Dormouse, it's totally fine. So what do we want to do here? We remembered, okay, that this is the heart and soul of the deck. So that means that we have to summon this card. So how are we supposed to summon this card? We look at the cards in our hand and we see, okay, if we normal summon this, we have no special summon, so it's not good. We could normal summon the backup, and that would give us a search, and maybe then we can use the March here. So what happens if we normal summon the backup? When this card is normal or special summon, we can add a Dark Cyber Sponsor from our deck to our hand. And we know that Dormouse is like the main combo piece, right? Because this is the one that banishes from our deck. But we've normal summoned, and we have to discard. But we already drew an extender, so if we add the Dormouse and discard the Dormouse, we're now creating fuel for the March here to work. So even without thinking about combos, just looking at the stuff in our hand, we know that backup gives us an actual starter, and our extender works with our starter. So yeah, we add the Dormouse off the backup, we discard it, and now we can March here, banish the Dormouse. And now the Dormouse was banished, so it can special summon itself. And now if we think a little bit, we can be like, well, we were told that we have to go into the White Binder, right? So that's what we're supposed to do. If we go into the White Binder right now, because we technically could do that, we wouldn't have used all of the effects that we have available to us on our field, and we wouldn't really have checked for all the hand traps we could possibly check for, and we want the White Binder to resolve. So why not use Dormouse effect? We haven't even used the effect yet. We've only brought it back from banishment, but we haven't used the effect to banish from our deck. So we should first try to use Dormouse's effect and banish from deck. If they Imperm or Veiler us or whatever, well, okay, we still can make our Link 3, but this doesn't stop us from making our Link 3. Now, we banish Rabbit from deck. We're trying to get more bodies, and the reason we banish Rabbit is because this is the one that when it is summoned has a trigger effect to set a Malice spell or trap from our deck. And we are on summon 4, so they can't nib us yet. Now, you should not spend your entire time, you know, saving yourself from not memorizing combos to then, you know, fantasize about what happens if my opponent nibs me at any moment. But if you can play around something that is in a lot of people's decks with 0 effort, you might as well do it. Like, why summon 5 times if you could summon 4? Or, you know, why commit to something super dangerous after nib if you could just do the super important thing before nib? So here, the White Rabbit is really important for our game plan because this will set a trap from our deck. And this layer is very, very important as a protection for our White Binder. Remember, if she's the heart of the deck, we need to protect her. We don't just want to summon her with nothing else on field and say, good luck, buddy, I hope you resolve. So here we're not nibbed yet. We can't be nibbed yet, and we've set our TB11. Okay, and I'll show you why in a second. So now, on summon 5, we go into White Binder. Now, I like making White Binder first because White Binder is just the best card in the deck. If our opponent were to nib us here, we can activate TB11. This is the one that can special from deck, but you can't use its effects or attack with it this turn. And you activate it the turn it was set by banishing a Malice name you control. So if they try to nib us, we would just activate TB11, banishing the binder for cost. They summon a token, our White Binder comes back, and we also get the draw off of that, remember, so we're still getting resources here. And then the White Binder can use her other effect to set the trap from deck, in which case we'd be setting GWC, because remember, GWC always guarantees our binder out of turn. So now even if we only had White Binder come back off TB11 and a nib token, which is a combo piece, those two things could at least go into a Firewall Dragon, and then in the opponent's turn we would use the GWC that White Binder set to bring White Binder back, co-link the Firewall so we have a free bounce. White Binder could then, you know, banish our White Rabbit from grave or whatever, and that can set our MTP, which is the non-targeting banish, and we're still looking pretty okay, you know, for having been nibbed or whatever. Anyhow, so on summon here, we're after summon, we're going to set GWC, so we're not using the effect on summon. There's no reason to banish stuff from our graveyard when we've already used the Dormouse banish effect, and we can use this later in the turn. So now we've set GWC, okay? So in terms of the game plan, all right, we were told that White Binders, all three effects are part of the game plan, right? Because this cycles our resources, it sets our trap, which guarantees itself out of turn, and it also draws. So we're doing all of these things. So now that we've accomplished all of these things, we can now just say, all right, let's just make big monsters, because we have GWC on field. So we're going to get the White Binder no matter what happens next. So now we can just summon stuff and make boss monsters, even if we didn't memorize a combo. So now TB11, banish White Binder, special summon out a name. White Binder, special summon itself, draw one card. Now we could banish stuff here, because this is the only other opportunity we'll have to do that, because we've now summoned Binder twice. Usually you want to banish an extra card, because if you ever make Heart's Cryptor, that's the one, the boss monster card, that can non-targeting banish a card on field by shuffling back a banished Maliss name. And you never want to have usually just one banished. You usually want to have two if you can help it, but you know, sometimes you can't. So we're just going to banish the TB11 because this isn't really doing anything for us. We know the next trap that we're going to get is MTP7 out of turn. And we're probably just going to recycle GWC over and over again if the game goes on that long. So TB11 isn't that important. We'll just banish it for now in case we make Cryptor later. We also will banish March here at the same time, because this one, when banished, can add a Maliss name back to hand from banishment. So now we have three monsters on field, and we have an extender in hand. And we're like, okay, well, we could just do, I don't know, anything. We'll make a Splash Mage here and summon something else out. That'll summon back our Chessy Cat. Now we'll go into Red Ransom. And while I've said that White Binder is the heart and soul of the deck, there's no reason to not have both Link monsters in rotation. It's just that White Binder is the more important one usually. Red Ransom is the one that can search for a spell on summon, and when it's banished and special summons itself, instead of drawing one like White Binder, it can banish a Cyberus from our deck, so it's a good extender. Here, instead of searching for the field spell, which you'll see in most combos, we will just search for Malice in the Mirror. We can just use that as an end board piece if we'd like, because remember, this is basically like an imperm, but it also banishes a Malice name from our field, which is good because, you know, if you're stuck with a White Binder on field or whatever, you can banish that to negate your opponent's monster, and then your thing will come back and you'll get your draw. Or if it's your Red Ransom, it'll come back and banish something from deck, for example, a White Rabbit, and that could be the way that you get access to your MTP non-targeting banish out of turn. So this is a very flexible card, and again, we're not even thinking about how do we build the biggest board possible, just how do we follow the game plan. Now that we have the two Link 3s on field, we can make a Firewall Dragon using a 3 and a 3, because we treat one of them as a 1, and that goes into Firewall. So now if we pass turn, we remember that this is the heart and soul of the deck for all the reasons I already explained, and we can get it back because of GWC. So the GWC White Binder, the super most basic thing, that's a check. We also have an insurance policy in March Hare, because if anything happens, like, I don't know, they bail our GWC, we can still March Hare, banish the White Binder. Or, you know, maybe we GWC bring back White Binder, and they somehow negate the White Binder, we could still March here, you know, banish the White Rabbit from grave, or banish Red Ransom, and that comes back and banishes a White Rabbit from deck. You know, we have multiple ways, we have insurance policies for our opponent interacting with us, and the Firewall will be co-linked when we bring back our White Binder, and then we also have the negate in Malice in the Mirror, and we also have the draws from the White Binder too. So that's basically the idea of what the Malice deck is supposed to do if you're not even thinking about combining other stuff with it. Now I'll just show two more things briefly. So when people are showing a lot of deck profiles, they're not going to explain lots of things. You know, they might say, oh, you're playing more than one wizard. That's the bad card. Like, buddy, why don't you spend everything you've earned this month to just buy 3 March Hares that are the secret rare chase card of the set or whatever? But listen, if you're on a budget, you can still play Yu-Gi-Oh! You just need to understand the game plan and be able to play your deck to its optimal efficiency. Wizard is still a great card. This is the one that says if you control a Cyberus monster, special summon from the extra deck, you can target a Cyberus monster in your grave, special summon both this card from your hand and that monster in defense position. Now, because you can special all of your Malice names, remember, your Link monsters only need one of the bodies to be a Malice name. So let's say you start with a weird hand like this, you summon your Dormouse, and you get impermed. That's unfortunate. So now you can't banish your White Rabbit to get the trap set to protect you for when you make your, you know, your White Binder and summon 4 or 5 or whatever. So instead here, we're going to put a Cyrus monster special summon from the extra deck on field so that our wizard is live. Now we can special summon the wizard and the White Rabbit, and now we have 3 monsters on field. Those can go into Red Ransom. Now here, if you go into a Link 3 on Summon 5, general rule of thumb that I follow is White Binder is only better if you already have something like TB11 or whatever, so that you can protect your White Binder from Nib, or when it tries to set the trap from Inform or Valor or whatever. But if you don't have that protection, you want to summon Red Ransom, because even if they Nib you here, while if they nibbed you on the White Binder, you wouldn't have been able to set anything, you wouldn't have been able to get to that effect, the Red Ransom at least is going to search for the field spell, and even if they nibbed you, you get a token, thanks for the combo piece, and then the Malice in Underground could, for example, banish the Red Ransom, because you haven't used that effect yet from grave, that'll come back, and then still banish your White Rabbit from deck, and that'll also come out, so you'll have a Red Ransom, White Rabbit to set a trap, and a nib token, and you can just continue playing. So generally, you just want to be, from the moment you get your safe stuff, you want to stay safe. You don't want to throw away your safe stuff. So here, I'm going to Malice in Underground, banish Malice in the Mirror from my deck. Remember, we didn't use Dormouse's banish effect yet, and we're just trying to use all of our cards. We're not even thinking about a combo. We're just like, well, I could banish a monster from my deck and summon that out and have 2 bodies on field, but I could also banish Malice in the Mirror, use this as cost to banish my Dormouse from grave to add another Malice from deck to hand. And because I haven't used Dormouse yet, that'll be able to summon out. So now we get 2 bodies instead of just 1. So here, if you're not Cybers locked, one option is to also just make Red Ransom and Dormouse into SP, banish Red Ransom, and you can continue playing that way. That was one of the old combos with Link Decoder. But if you really want to move away from just the Malice stuff, like if you want to stick to the Malice stuff, I'd say go for SP banish Red Ransom comes back, banishes White Rabbit, and you have a great combo there. But if you want to do the fancy stuff with the Cybers Wicked, you need to make it when you have a way to special summon to a zone it points to, which is why we search for March Hare. March Hare can banish the Red Ransom, and now we can Cybers Wicked, banish Cybers from our grave to add a, which one is this add again? It is banish a Cybers monster from your grave, add a Cybers tuner from your deck to your hand, which is backup at Ignister. And now the Red Ransom that we banished off of March Hare will come back off its own effect, and we can banish the White Rabbit off of that Red Ransom effect. And so now the White Rabbit will give us our GWC, and we're super safe. So, we can go into White Binder here now because we didn't make it yet, and we always need to get it, and because we already have GWC, we can go for our TB11. TB11 can be used later because you can back up at Ignister. We're just going wide here because we have White Binder and we have GWC, so that was the basic game plan, right? So now we're just going to TB11, banish the White Binder, get another body. Binder comes back and gives us a draw. Here we happen to draw into a Dormouse, but it could be whatever. And now again, we're just going to say, okay, we're going to make Firewall Dragon and Allied Code Talker because we have enough bodies. And now when the game ends, despite that we didn't even think of anything besides, well, I guess we have our stuff in rotation, let's make Cybers Wicked. That allows you to search for the backup, and you have a bunch of extenders, and you can go into the Allied Code Talker and whatever. So anyhow, guys, the point of this was not to explain what is the best combo, what's the most broken thing, how should you rear naked your opponent if you then want to, do your FTK combo after that. It's just to show you that you should probably understand what the deck is trying to do first, and if you want to look into combos afterwards and then gain some insight as to what they add or what your inefficiencies were, then you can do that. But I don't think that you should just be going to combo videos to learn how a deck works. Anyhow, if you have any suggestions or recommendations, please let me know. If you want to join the Discord, feel free to @ me. I'm very active over there. Thanks for watching.